How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Today I am with my 2002 VW Polo 9N, which has a bunch of problems with it. I'm talking like ridiculous number of problems with it. So yeah, I thought today I'd walk you through those problems. I've been thinking about doing a video on my 5-year review of ownership on this car. If you'd like to see that video, make sure this video gets to 1,000 likes and I will do exactly that video for you to kind of run through everything about the car in terms of like what I actually think about it after 5 years of owning it, putting yeah, quite a few miles on it and all that kind of stuff as well. So if you want to know more about from that stuff, then yeah, hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it. But today we're going to be talking specifically about the problems that are left over on this car. So yeah, before I spend too much time wasting time on the intro, remember to hit the like button, subscribe as well if you're new. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, the first thing I need to talk about before I get into this video is that a lot of these problems are my fault or just like wear and tear problems. So yeah, me not looking after the car well enough and not giving it the justice it probably deserves. But it is a workhorse car. This car exists to work for me. It gets me from A to B. It is obviously the star of the old YouTube channel, and also irrespective of all of those kinds of things anyway, this car is just like my perfect city car. It gets me from wherever I need to be to wherever else I need to be. No ULEZ charge, all the other good stuff. It is like the perfect car for all of that. So it does get battered and bruised around all of the time. So let's jump straight into it. We're going to talk about the outside of the car first, then we'll jump on the inside, and then we'll talk about some of the stuff that's going on under the bonnet as well. And some of the problems that are on the car are completely trivial as well. So some of the stuff that you're going to see or I'm going to talk about today is literally pointless. And we'll start with one of those pointless things. The tyre writing, which you may have seen me do in the past on one of my videos, is absolutely disappearing, at least from the front wheels in particular, but it's also coming off of the back wheels as well. So obviously, because I'm doing a lot of very fast turning, obviously very useful and aggressive driver, I am yeah, folding in those sidewalls of the tyre, which is scratching off the paint from my yeah, tyre writing, which is a real shame. But I kind of like the look. It looks a little bit aggressive, and yeah, I'm all about it. And if I jump over to the back here as well, you can see that it's much better on the back. Clearly, your back wheels don't turn, so you don't get the same effect. But one thing that you will notice while you're back here is this. How embarrassing is that? Nice black alloys, and they are scratched up all around there. Jump over to the front ones as well, and you'll see the same problem up here in particular. And yeah, this is mostly on the right alloy, and I know exactly what happened to make this take place. And no, I'm not going to blame someone else in my life for this. This was all my fault. Basically, I was driving through Surrey at some point, just yeah, I think it was through Guildford or something like that, and an ambulance came up behind me, and so I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to need to move out of the way. So I had to kind of like cross over the road a little bit and mount a curb, and as I was mounting that curb, it was a little bit too tall for the car, and I just remember hearing this horrendous scrape. It was like a proper across the wheels, and I was like, oh gosh. And that was probably still in the first year that I actually had these black alloys in the car. So yeah, not helpful at all. But you live and you learn, and then you don't fix either. So that's kind of how that is. Another problem which I really need to get to at some point, and it's kind of been there since I had the car, is these. So the lights on the front are pretty much completely fogged over with grime and disgustingness. It's all on the inside, obviously. So need to get that all sorted out at some point. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to get maybe some angel eyes or some whatever's on there to make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit fresher, but it wouldn't really match with the rest of the car being so battered and bruised. And let's jump across from those to something that you guys have been telling me to fix forever, and I just haven't gotten around to it, and that is this number plate. So look at this rust from the bolts coming out there and there. It's only gotten worse since I've owned the car. I know I need to fix it. It would just make the car look so much nicer by doing so, but I am useless, as you know. And yeah, I'm not particularly good at getting around to these smaller tasks. I really need to do some of this stuff. One thing that I've really thought about doing, and I want you guys to comment down below to let me know whether I should, is a few quality of life updates to the Polo. And one of those quality of life updates would of course be refreshing the exterior, making it a little bit nicer, because I honestly believe that I'm going to keep driving this car for quite a long time, at least through this year and next year as my daily driver. I don't think I'll be getting a daily anytime soon between now and the end of 2023. So I'm thinking about doing some quality of life upgrades, and a lot of what we're talking about in this video is relevant to that quality of life piece. So do let me know if you think that those some of these stuff should change. Let's talk about something that I've done myself, which is now starting to slowly break. The grill that I made, the honeycomb grill, as you can see here, it's actually snapped at that front end there, and it's also starting to fray in some places. So I really need to get this stuck back down. I'll just literally get a glue gun and glue it all back into place. It's not too difficult. Like, it needs to be sitting there and it's fallen back into place. So you can see I'm pulling them back into place there. That needs to be pulled up again, and that will look much better. And I need to glue this back together here as well. Also, the badge is starting to peel, and I've kind of just left it. The reason why I've left it is because Halfords have stopped doing this peelable paint, and I really like this peelable paint, and I found it much easier to use than some of the other different brands out there. So a shame that Halfords have gotten rid of it, but it kind of just stopped me from wanting to redo it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Coming around onto this side, you can see same again with the wheels, and yeah, like the tire rising is all a little bit messed up. There is also a bit of scratching on that wheel as well. So yeah, clearly not a very good driver I am. And I am starting to see the signs of rust here on this wheel arch. So that is never a good sign. The paint has obviously come away and it's starting to show there. And this, for whatever reason, has fallen off as well. So yeah, never perfect. I think the reason why this has happened though is because before I actually bought the car, someone had hit it, I think, into a post. Like, I don't know if you can actually get the view here, but there is actually a dent in the car here. I think that this dent that was done probably on a post, it's like a low post that someone's hit or whatever, has pushed this out, because this has always been out, and then also done some done bits to the old paint here. So we've actually ended up with a bit of rust, which is never a good sign on any car. I don't know if you spotted this yet, but my wing mirrors, which I painted many years ago, are now slowly starting to show the signs of a bad paint job. That was me obviously doing the paint. I was learning how to paint. I'd never painted a car before in my life, or quite painted any car part before in my life, and here they are slowly starting to deteriorate and look a little bit less pretty. I don't know if you can get that on camera. There you go. So yeah, it's starting to get a little bit more grainy. This had lacquer in the paint when I bought it, but I think it probably could have done with another layer of lacquer over the top anyway. This will probably have to get sanded down and repainted at some point. Speaking of rust, when I bought the car as well, it had this nice big scrape here, which I don't really know what they could have hit to do this. It would have been, again, probably a pole or something, but it's got this nice layer of rust there, which has not helped by the fact that the seals on this car don't work. So the rain seems to get through here, come down the edge of the door and get stuck down here. You can actually see some of the residue or the water here and there. On a rainy day, this fills with water. You can open the door up, it drops all over your feet, whatever. It was one of the first things I ever complained about this car. In fact, if you watch my video on 5 things I hate about my Polo or whatever, you'll have seen that actually turn up in the video. Now let's walk around to the back end of the car, to something that happened because of some people being scumbags. This is my rear windscreen wiper, and you can see it's actually got some mold on it or whatever. Not ideal. But the reason why that's happened is because it no longer works. And the reason why it no longer works is because when I was doing my job on the tire writing, so doing all that kind of stuff, during a global pandemic, some kids decided to be dickheads and yeah, basically broke my windscreen wiper whilst I was working on the car. I just sort of stepped into their house. They decided to go and mess with the windscreen wiper. Yeah, never helpful. A bit annoying that. So I need to fix this again at some point. One of those things that I just haven't bothered to fix. Oh, and look, even my sticker, my Cars with JB, it's a sorry sight this, my Cars with JB window sticker that I've had since I started the channel, like 2017, is also starting to come off of the window. Not good. And look at the Group B Today one as well. That's left itself a mark as well. That's going to be hassle to get rid of. Oh man, I really need to look after my car better. I'm just putting it out there. And by the way, the reason why I'm doing this video is because I don't want to give you guys a perfect, beautiful view of car ownership or cheap £400 car ownership. Buying a cheap car and treating it like a cheap car it's going to affect the car. And like, you can see that just like the stickers being ruined and like the paint not being so great and all that kind of stuff, that is all just like part and parcel of my ownership experience of this car. It runs and drives great, by the way. We'll get onto that in a moment. But yeah, like, it's a £400 car and I have treated it as such. I haven't treated it as a very expensive, beautiful, whatever. I don't treat it like I treat my MX-5, which gets a little bit more love and attention. So yeah, just something to think about. I'm also getting watched by a cat right now. Coming around onto this side of the car, there's also this big scrape across the side, which is also from a former owner. I have no idea where this came from. It looks, again, like it could have been either maybe a parking impact or another pole or whatever. Been hard to make it a pole, I think. Maybe that was a parking impact, I'm not really sure. Oh, and a point to note, if I open this up for you, then yeah, this snapped a long time before I had the car. So that's not actually attached to that. Maybe I could fix that I probably could fix. I could just get a new thing there, couldn't I, and just put it in place. But yeah, so that's been broken since I've had the car. And one thing that has never gone away is these black spots over the car. Again, when I bought the car, it came with these black spots, and they're all over the roof as well. They've slowly started to kind of fade at least, but when I got the car, they were like fresh black spots all over it. But here I can show you an impact that was actually my fault. So this nice big scrape here actually came from my video of putting the seats into the car, so the new GTI seats. When I put this into the car, I accidentally caught the edge of my seat on the door and built this nice big scrape into it. It's a proper dent as well. So yeah, me not being careful enough, basically. So now we've done that, let us jump inside the car and have a look at what's going on in here. So if I open up the door, jump in, close the door behind me. It's a little bit cold, not super cold. But yes, one of the first things I wanted to talk about was the steering wheel. So look at this. I have accidentally ruined my steering wheel cover and made it come off there. There we go. Nice and focused for you. But yeah, this is actually starting to come off and fray away. Basically, number one, I'm not good enough at sewing. So there's that. Number two, I don't think I lined the steering wheel cover up well enough when I did the job. So I think that kind of let it to flex a little bit. And then number three as well, my thumb must have been catching it quite a lot, because I remember specifically when I sort of through abrasion made that little bit here kind of come off, and once that came off, obviously from then it's just going to unravel itself slowly, which is a shame because I really like the steering wheel cover. It might have to go at some point, unfortunately, but it is what it is. I'll get another one or something at some point. I still love that I still have all of the carbon fiber in here from when I first did that back in like 2018 or whatever. So this was like 2017 done, this stuff around here. This stuff here I think was done in early 2018, or maybe it was late. I can't remember. Basically, I did this at some point. But as we're looking at this midsection of the car, we should talk about the radio. Now, the radio doesn't like to work very well. In fact, if I turn the car on, it will go on, and the radio does work, and it is okay. Let me just get that out. There we go. Lovely. So yeah, it's radio. Plug it in. All good. Oh yeah, the beeping sound is just I haven't got any petrol because petrol prices are ridiculous right now. So yeah, I'm having to not drive at all really. But yeah, so the old radio, this was actually the radio in my Skoda Fabia estate, and I loved it. My dad bought it for me for my birthday many years ago. All good and well. However, it has never been the same since the crash. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I had a very big crash in my Skoda, and I actually remember that the front of the radio flew out of the car. Like it literally flew like backwards that way in through the back windscreen, or basically went back there. It was still in the car, but it just like flew out that way or whatever. So yeah, it has never been the same since then. The radio's never quite been the same. I obviously shifted it across from the Skoda into this, and it's done its job. But I think it's time for a new one. And I've been thinking about getting Apple CarPlay in here. I thought it'd be funny to have a £400 car with a £400 radio in it. Like Apple CarPlay is relatively expensive. So if you'd like to see me put Apple CarPlay in, you can put a doubled-in stereo in here. Like you can fill up this whole space. I do like this spot here because I keep like some of my stuff in here when I'm driving. But I think I could go for an Apple CarPlay thing in here with like my maps, with my music, all that kind of stuff. So let me know if you think that I should go for the Apple CarPlay in here. I'm really interested to hear. Less a problem, more a meme. My face as the air freshener obviously is doing no air freshening now, and it's very faded too, but I think it's quite funny, so we'll keep it for now. Thinking about making some air fresheners as merch. I don't think I'll do my head as an egg, but if you want to get this, then I'm more than happy to make a few and give some away or sell some or whatever it is. Sticking to the midsection of here though, the center console or whatever you want to call it, when I bought the car, it did not have this, and I think this is a classic problem for the vast majority of Polo owners not having one of these. Like this is a drinks holder, that's the one. So this is a drinks holder. Normally you click on it, it pops out. This one isn't. This was a fake one, but this one did have a drinks holder in it. I would never use it, and I don't think anyone else would really use it either. So I'm thinking about getting another one of these panels and just putting it on there. I mean, I've literally had that for over 5 years. It's been a hole there, and I've never tried to fill it. So yeah, it is what it is. And one thing that just pisses me off, this is not a problem with the car, one thing pisses me off, because obviously I've got a 1.2E, this is the absolute base model. So all of these different buttons that would have existed on other Polos, they just left them in, and then I don't get to press them. That's all it is. So yeah, a little bit annoying, but what can you do? I suppose it's just like VW telling me that I am poor, effectively. JB, you're very poor. You can't afford to buy a nice top quality Polo. So we're going to remind you that you can't do that. It's basically what VW have done to me there. Getting violated by VW. Obviously my wing mirror stuff doesn't work, I don't think. Yeah. Pretty sure it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work at all. So it is what it is. That one over there isn't even the proper wing mirror. It doesn't like, that's the one I think I had to replace. And it's also been broken again in the time that I've been driving the car. And then this is ugly as anything. So the door started to fray away. I don't know who to blame for this one. It's just age. I mean, the car is 20 years old at this point. Yeah, I can still kind of stick it back into place because it is still all glued on the backside, but it has now come away. And I've been thinking about modifying the car in a way that means that this door and like all of this trim here, so all of this stuff, all of that stuff there, and also in the back and whatever, would actually become maybe leather or something like that. I think it's a job that I could probably do myself. I don't think I'd need to get too much help to do it. So maybe I'll give that a go at some point. Depends how I'm feeling, basically. I don't know what color I'd do either. Like, this is ugly and it's very basic and it's a bit cheap and cheerful and whatever. So maybe it could go to a different color, maybe it could go to some leather, but I just don't know what I'd do, to be honest. Maybe, I've worked it out. Maybe if I could match this, if I could color match with this, so like go for the same kind of tartan pattern that you get on the GTI seats, that could be quite nice. And speaking of these seats, something that I wanted to talk about actually was that those seats don't match these seats. And I've never gotten that fixed. So I could maybe get the GTI rear seats and put them in, but most people don't really sell the GTI rear seats on their own. But yeah, it's always been like, obviously the difference between the front and the rear seats there. So again, like all of this kind of stuff is just trivial. It's just very basic and simple stuff. Oh, my gear boot that my first ever modification on this car was changing this old gear boot, except for like painting the badges and stuff. But yeah, that was literally changing this gear boot, and it's starting to get old as well, or starting to get a little bit dirty. So yeah, one thing that I'm not very good at is cleaning my car. I need to clean that out at some point. Now, I don't know if this thing is going to happen, but let's see if it does. One thing that has gone wrong with the car now is that if I do that, theoretically, if I lock it, it might not lock. It hasn't, yes, perfect. So if I go around here, I've just locked the car as you have seen, and if I go around to this side, this door is open. So I have to sometimes lock on that side and then come around here and then relock this one up as well. It does lock, and sometimes it does do the whole locking system, but oftentimes it doesn't. And when I unlock it, it does normally do both of them. Let's just double check that. Yeah, all good. I think this is a relatively common problem with Polos and Skodas and all the other cars I kind of sat on this platform, because the same thing happened on my Skoda Fabia estate back in the day. In fact, that door wouldn't unlock at all. So like when I went to unlock this door, that one wouldn't unlock. When I went to lock this door, that one wouldn't lock. So that door just became basically unusable. I had to like keep locking, unlocking until that one finally opened, and that could take ages sometimes. I had to do it from like the interior as well. So bit of a mess is what I'm trying to say. But again, it's a minor inconvenience, especially because in my MX-5 it hasn't got central locking, so I have to lock both doors separately regardless. So, quality of life upgrade. Should I do one is the question. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Oh, actually, wait, hang on. We've missed one thing. In my pocket, right here. Hang on. This, my gosh. This has been a source of much annoyance over the time. So this used to be on this door here, so this used to be like right there, and I decided after a while that I'd make the other person suffer instead. As you can see here, hopefully you can see that, I'm not really sure, but it has broken on one edge of it. So yeah, it doesn't really work properly. Let's stick it in here for now. There we go. So it does go in, but it also very easily pops back out again. So when you're trying to roll the windows up and down, it can be quite annoying, particularly if you've got a new passenger in the car, someone who's not dealt with it before, then they can really suffer, because they're cranking, and then boom, off it comes, and could even clot themselves in the face with it. So it is what it is. Health and safety nightmare in this car. But yes, as I was saying, talking about the quality of life upgrades that I'd like to do to this car. So thinking about it then, going back to that point, double din radio would be nice. Maybe refreshing this whole area as well, the dashboard. I'm not inclined to do that because I like that this is an old mod that has just lived on the car for so long. Probably have to replace the steering wheel cover at some point, or just remove it entirely, which is a real shame because it is a lovely lovely cover, and it was given to me for free, as you may know. Changing the seats so that they match, so getting the tartan there and the tartan there, and then also adding that same tartan color maybe to this interior bit would be quite nice. Obviously a clean and refresh would be good to the car regardless. I'm not really sure. Maybe you think I should go for leather instead. Maybe I should just get it all reupholstered in leather instead. I couldn't do the reupholstery in leather. I don't think that would work. I don't think I am at all useful enough to do that. So it would have to be done professionally in order to do that. So I'm going to try and keep it cheap. I don't think I'd do that. I would definitely reupholster that myself and get the GTI seats in the rear So maybe that's doable. So all of those. On the exterior, it's starting to rain now, so I'm not gonna go back outside. But on the exterior, I would probably redo the wing mirrors back into the blue again, just scrape them down and then repaint them and then make them a bit nicer this time. Need to redo the badges, redo the grille, just like literally just put it back into place. What else? The front number plate needs to be redone. Maybe not a full. Maybe just get the car valeted as well and get the paint just like polished, etc., so that it looks a little bit nicer. Probably need to change the alloys. I'd probably get just VW alloys again this time. I'd just go back to having some VW alloys. Maybe the ones off the GTI would be quite nice. I'd like to do the brakes as well. The brakes are quite old at this point. They're very strong, but they're quite old, so that'd be one to consider. Yeah, I think all of those things would make a really good quality of life upgrade to the car. I'd love to hear your thoughts on whether or not you'd like to see that on YouTube, because obviously it's the Pointless Polo project. I need to bring it back, do some more work on it, and I'm not going to get rid of this car for a long time. It will be my daily driver for at least another year to 2 years, maybe even beyond. It's too good. £400 is too good. There's one other thing I wanted to mention before I let you guys go though. It did have a slight problem recently where it wasn't idling. So I was turning the car and it wasn't idling, or I was driving around and the car was not idling. So I had to like hold the clutch and throttle it. That has now just resolved itself. The car's perfect. It's resolved itself. All good. Oh, and one other thing as well, it's not MOT'd. So the MOT ran out on Friday. Needs to get MOT'd. MOT's on Thursday or something, so that'll get done. But yes, this is a quick update on the Polo, everything that's wrong with it, everything that needs to be fixed on it, etc, etc, etc. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about the car, about the problems with it, everything I need to do to fix it and make it as nice and as lovely to live with as possible. You know I love you guys. I really appreciate all the support, and I love that we've hit 100k on the channel. It really means a lot to me. Make sure you hit the like button. As I said, 1,000 likes, I'll do a 5-year review on the car, maybe even for its 20th birthday or whatever, because it's now 20 years old. But as I said, do comment, subscribe, like, all the good stuff. Thanks to the patrons for their support, and to you guys as well for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Listen.